So, Heritage Day came and went recently, and with all the love and pride that South African wine lovers were sharing on social media, it got me thinking a little bit about Fight Club. Because I think it was Tyler Durden who first copped to owning an entire set of glassware, complete with imperfections and bubbles, so that you knew it was handmade by the honest, hardworking, simple indigenous folk of wherever. And since the 26 years that book came out, traceability has really only become more of a thing with food. I mean, you need to know where everything is from, right? So like, what, tomatoes from Israel? That is amazing. I can taste the conflict, right? Or what, this coffee is from Bali, and what? From the anus of a bat. Oh, from the anus of a cat. So cute, it's from the anus of a cat. And so that was, we needed to know where everything was from, but then carbon footprints became a thing. And so now you didn't only need to know where it was from, but it has to be like close. So, you baristas in specialty cafes are serving single cow milk, and the cow is called Betsy, and she's like there in the paddock. Cows have paddocks, and she's close, and so that's good. And, if you want to cook dinner for your neighbor, the best thing you can cook them is something you foraged from like your garden. So I made this schnitzel from a volunteer squirrel and dusted it with leaves from my hedge. That's 5 stars right there, okay? And then, but this is the mystery, right? Because when you come to serve the wine, I am pairing this volunteer schnitzel with a Chenin Blanc from the Swartland. But no, because Chenin is from the Loire in France. Yeah, well, I'm so sorry. How about this Sauvignon Blanc? French Chardonnay, French Cabernet Franc, French. Malbec from Argentina. No, French. So while we're trying to find as many indigenous ingredients for our dinner, we seem to have kind of overlooked the fact that our wine could be sourced in the same way. And to that, I hear you scream, pinotage! Which, to be honest, I feel like is a little bit of an overreaction, but yea, verily, pinotage, right? But if we think about both locally and internationally, what people think of pinotage, more often than not, the words coffee and chocolate pop up. And if we look at that closely enough, we realize that for the most part, chocolate is often the result of certain yeast strains that bring that note out. Coffee is often the result of over-toasted oak. And so really, finding some sense of national pride from a coffee or chocolate pinotage is a little bit like saying that child labor is permissible as long as you use local children. Because at its core, it's still abuse of something pure. And so that notion of national pride of a pinotage is something that can be a little bit confusing. Luckily, that is beginning to change. And people are starting to produce what, again, if you want to up the level of pomps at your dinner party, you'd say, no, this is a nouveau pinotage. Or you swap it around, it's extra special. It's pinotage nouveau. And really what that means is it's a pinotage made in a kind of less invasive style, less oak, neutral vessels, spontaneous fermentation. And so you get something that is all about the flavors of pinotage fruit, which is like, what? Does anyone know? I could tell you, but again, you wouldn't be tasting it. So rather, just go to the copy with this video, and I've listed a whole bunch of pinotages that are probably worth tracking down. But that is why tonight I wanted to talk about B Vintners. Now, B Vintners Wine Explorers is a winemaking team made up of Gavin Brewer and Brewer Raats from Raats Family Wines, which is winery of the year 2018 according to Platter, and Banff according to pretty much everyone else all the time. So the team comes from amazing heritage which is part of the theme today. So they've produced a pinotage called Liberté, which is essentially one of those pinotages where you can taste the parentage, right? You can taste the elements of the fruit, where it came from. And it's essentially South African. And while that's very exciting, they're not the only ones doing that. And what excites me more than that is what they're doing with a truly African grape, which is Muscat of Alexandria, or Hanepoort, as we otherwise know it. Now, B Vintners have produced this Alexandria, which is made of 100% Muscat d'Alexandrie. Again, if you want to use the French, you can. But this is as African as it comes. It is deemed to be indigenous to the port of Alexandria in Egypt. And so we can say that it's a grape that is truly African, more so than anything else. It's not like it has a whole bunch of French parentage, but just got developed here. This is something that was born in Africa. And so what's super exciting is that people are making serious wines out of this now. So just for the education, you need to track down this and begin to discover that Hanepoort, which we've shamed for so long, can actually make incredible, serious wines. And at 170 Rand a bottle, this is something that you need to add to your arsenal of wine education. I suppose can you have an arsenal of education? You can now, defending yourself against ignorance. So this is immensely exciting, and if you're a guy who likes stickers, well then go with their Harlem to Hope blend, which has some Muscat in it, but is mostly Chenin, and then you can at least say you've drunk a Muscat dry that got 5 stars from Platter and 93 points from Tim Atkin, and that'll make you feel better. But seriously, find this. But I don't think we can end there. Like B Vintners, Wine Explorers, the name itself is incredibly exciting because having chatted to the team a little bit, what I sense is that these guys are something that want to do something new, that want to rediscover grapes and styles of winemaking that have been neglected a little, and in some sense to recreate what it means to be proud of South African wine heritage. So what I'd like to see them do, and this is, I guess, a challenge to winemakers all over, is to start exploring some of the other grapes that we have developed over the years, like Chanel or Nouvelle, which are white grapes, again from French parentage. But these are grapes that have made incredible wines. I think Nouvelle was used in 2004, it won a Young Wine Trophy, South African Young Wine Trophy for the other white category. And then there's Rubinais, which is a red wine that is Fleur de Cap used that in some of their blends. And these are grapes that were developed here, like pinotage was, and yet they haven't really come to the fore. And seeing as everyone wants to achieve diversity, genetic diversity, and discover new things and talk about locivore sourcing, isn't there a market for us to start to develop more and more serious wines made from grapes like Chanel and Nouvelle and Rubinais that were developed here in South Africa? Pinotage, look, fine, we can fly that flag high, but I think moving into the future, it would be so exciting to see more and more wines coming from grapes that, for the most part, people don't even know exist, and yet were developed here in South Africa. That would make Heritage Day exciting for me.